Welcome into First Pitch for Friday, August 2nd. We got Dave Cokin, Bryan Leonard on. I am Drew Martin. We're breaking down the Friday night MLB slate. Dave Cokin, happy Friday to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Last day of the show this week, but of course, a long way to go with baseball because they do play on the weekends, despite the fact we don't do a first pitch. That surprises me. I would think they would just cancel the schedule, but they play anyway.
Yeah, you're right, man. What are they thinking there, those MLB schedule makers? But Bryan Leonard, happy Friday to you. Welcome in, man.
Yeah, it's great to be back. And the reason why they have weekend baseball is so the guys on this show can go to the baseball games.
Are you going to the West Coast for any games?
No, I'd like to. The wife's out of town, although I will catch an Aviators game tomorrow.
That's a great ballpark, by the way. For people who come to Las Vegas, I know minor league baseball isn't supposed to be a tourist attraction, but trust me, if you're coming to Vegas and the Aviators are playing, take a trip out to that Las Vegas ballpark in Summerlin. It's the best minor league baseball stadium I've ever seen.
The best part of it is we're allowed to bet the game in Vegas, and they have live betting. So if you've ever been to a PCL game, there's a ton of scoring. And if you're at the game where you know it's going to happen, you don't have any delays, I'm just hitting whoever the underdog is at plus money all the way through. It's sort of like one of those college football games where they score 100 points. Whoever's got the ball is going to score, and it's been very profitable to me so far. So it's definitely paid for the tickets that I've used to get out there.
And that's something you can bet all over town?
Yeah, everybody has it basically. And it's on the apps. You just sit there and play it. It's a lot of fun.
And is it only the Aviators, or is it the PCL, or all of minor league baseball?
Just the Aviators right now in Las Vegas.
Oh, good stuff, guys.
Road games and home games. Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's get after this MLB card and the Aviators, if you want to throw anything out there for tonight or tomorrow's game, if they got one. But we got 9-5-3, 9-5-4, New York Mets, Pittsburgh Pirates to start off. Mets versus Williams. Looks like minus 112, I'm seeing the consensus number. The Mets laying on the road behind Steven Matz. 9.5 the total, Dave. You thinking anything here with the Mets and Pirates?
Well, just a note on the Aviators. It looks like Steven Piscotty will probably be getting called back up by the Oakland A's. So they'll be minus one of their big bats. He was down here in a rehab. Matz is off a complete game shutout. That's in itself pretty impressive. And I don't mind going against guys after a complete game shutout. It's a potential letdown spot, if you will. Trevor Williams is finally starting to show some positive signs. He's pitched okay his last few starts, so maybe he's finally healthy and rounding into some kind of form. He's been very good. A couple of little notes here. Williams has been, well, not very good, but pretty good. First time through the order, 2.97 ERA. Whereas Matz has a tendency to struggle early. If you're going to get Matz, you can get him quickly. 5.40 first time through the order for the Mets lefties. And he has not been good on the road. I think this price is about right because you do have to factor in the team performances, and the Pirates are just an absolutely dreadful baseball team right now. So the team stuff, you would certainly look at the Mets because they're playing good ball. They're only 2 games under 500 now. But I think the pitching does favor the Pirates tonight. So I'm going to stay out of this.
Yeah, the Mets are hot. Bryan, you looking to ride this hot streak?
Yeah, this is interesting. The Mets have won 7 in a row. The Pirates have lost 9 out of 10. Dave talked about Steven Matz's complete game. Well, that was against the Pirates just the other day. You take a look at Matt's strikeout to walk ratio, 18-2 his last 4 starts. He usually goes from 2-1 to 3-1. But 18-2 is pretty impressive lately, so he's really feeling it. Dave's right. He hasn't been nearly as good on the road, although last time he pitched on the road at San Francisco, he had a 57-game score, which was pretty nice. But it's interesting because after we talked about the Mets are hot, the Pirates are not. Matz throws that complete game shutout against them last time, but the money's coming in on the Pirates. And that's usually a pretty good sign where if the public's going to look at this game and they're going to say, oh, it's Mets, and the line's coming in on the Pirates, that tells me that the Pirates may be the right side in this one. Don't know if I'll get involved, but just from watching the screen for years and seeing how the lines move, the Pirates are probably a live dog here.
And Brian, you bring up the fact that Steven Matz just a complete game should against this Pirates team last time out. Does that make you want to bet on him more in this situation? Or do you think that the Pirates will figure him out this time around? Like handicapping angle, do you think it favors one or the other?
Yeah, basically what I take a look at, if a guy's an average pitcher, and Matz is pretty much, he's been average for his career. If he comes off a good start against that team, I expect some regression the following game, as Dave kind of pointed out. Usually when you see that, like you'll see a game or two where our pitcher's really good against the team, I like to fade him the next time they play him.
Yeah, it's an interesting angle there. Good stuff, guys. We got 955, 956 up next. Cincinnati Reds, Atlanta Braves. Kevin Gossman going for the Braves at home in SunTrust Park. Commanding a minus 160 to minus 165, minus 170 price tag even. Total of 9 here. And guys, the lefty, Alex Wood, Dave, I believe, he played for the Braves. I believe he's an Atlanta kid, Georgia kid anyway, so kind of coming back home here. I usually tend to think that that's a fade spot, just people calling him, getting tickets, that kind of stuff. But any feeling on that? And also, what are you thinking here with the Reds and Braves?
Well, Wood's a really good pitcher, but he's had so many injuries throughout his career. And, of course, he just is off his first big league start of the season after coming back from yet another injury. He was, I'd call it fair in that first start. But basically, he's just, he's probably still going through spring training in a sense. I can't lay this kind of a price with Gossman. He's pitched okay with the Braves. His first start was very good. His last start looked worse than it is. He gave up a grand slam to the last batter he faced, and that kind of skewed his numbers for the game. He had been okay in the game prior to that. But, boy, that's an awfully big price. The problem is that the Reds they're just such an inefficient team. I've talked about this over and over again. The Reds probably should be better than they are, but their offensive inefficiency has killed them all season long. They get guys on base. They don't do anything with it. They'll hit into Votto's. They're still hitting Votto second because he's Joey Votto, but he's not Joey Votto anymore. And the Reds refuse to acknowledge this and won't get him out of the crucial 2-hole. He should not be hitting second. And the problem is it really impacts the whole offense. That second spot is the most important spot in the lineup. And the metrics, the analytics show this.
I agree with
you. And that's why the Angels have kept Trout in second, maybe third sometimes, which is fine. Votto can't hit second anymore. He's hitting 260. He doesn't have much power. He has no speed. He's a liability in the second spot. But the Reds, because they're a dumb organization, and they have been for quite some time, refuse to acknowledge this. And I think it's cost them dearly. So looking at tonight's spot, you look at the Reds, and you look at the Pythagorean and some other stuff, and you go, boy, that price is too high. And yet I can't really pull the trigger on the Reds because it's as though they're an organization that finds ways to lose baseball games. And they've done that on a regular basis this year, which is why they're 7 games under 500. So I would not play the Braves this spot, though. I can tell you that.
And Brian, what are you thinking here? I mean, Dave brings up some great points. And also I wanted to bring up that the screen just went black as we were talking. Pinnacle's up higher than minus 170 now. This is almost a 40-cent move in August MLB. That's a big move for now. What are you thinking here? Smart money, right?
Yeah, they must have somehow released the starting lineup beforehand. Somebody got a hold of it for it to move this early. Gausman's Dave hit it right on the point with Gausman. You go back his last 4 starts, he's got a 23-2 strikeout to walk ratio. Amazing. He's usually not nearly that good. But you take a look at his game scores. He did have the 71 against Washington, but included in there was a 37, a 38, and an 18. So he's getting the strikeouts, but I don't know if he's really fooling anybody. He's faced Cincinnati twice in his career, game scores of 34 and 9. So he has not played well against Cincinnati, and his game scores this year have been pretty weak. He's got the potential. He's one of those guys, and there's so many guys in the majors that have the stuff, and they've shown some streaks where they've been on 5, 6, 7 game streaks where they've been really good, but they lose it. And he's one of those guys that tends to lose it. My numbers say Cincinnati, but I'm like Dave. I mean, the line's too high here to play the Braves, but Cincinnati has the value. But as Dave pointed out, if you take a look at all the advanced stats for Cincinnati this year, they should be a lot better than what they are. And unfortunately, I bet them over for seasonal wins. Probably not going to get there, but yeah, I'm going to be passing on this one. I just don't trust the Reds here.
All right, guys, we got 957, 958 up next. San Francisco Giants, Colorado Rockies, mile high here. Lambert on the hill for the Rockies. Anderson on the hill for the Giants. Seeing a high total here, 14. Minus 135 to minus 140, the Rocks laying at home. Brian, come back to you, man. Any interest in this NL West matchup?
Yeah, the overnight had San Francisco opening as the favorite, and then Colorado's taken all the money since then.
That was Bumgarner.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. They switched pitchers. I'm sorry about that.
Circa's very aggressive in terms of getting numbers out, and they posted the Rockies about 165 last night after the pitching change. They were the only place that had the line up, and it's since adjusted down. That was a little too high, but obviously there was a big difference in what they made the number with Bumgarner as opposed to Anderson. Bumgarner instead is going to go tomorrow.
Colorado the last 2 years against San Francisco, 12-7, 12-7. This year the Giants 9-4 against Colorado. Colorado's been a very disappointing team, as we all know. It's tough to lay the number here with Colorado because San Francisco's played the better ball. But 6-4 of the last 10, so they're starting to get back to where they were before. They're still winning the last 10. But you go back, last 30, 21-9, the Giants have been doing it with smoke and mirrors. And unfortunately, the Giants think they're a playoff team and they don't trade away their valuable assets. I don't understand it. We'll see what happens here. If you're a player for the Giants, sure, you're glad your team doesn't trade them away because you think that maybe you can make it. But in reality, it's sort of like the Mets to me. The Mets have made some trades, but the Mets got to climb over so many other teams to get to that playoffs. I don't think it's a very wise decision. In this game, I'm not seeing much of an edge either way. Definitely don't want to play Colorado here, and the Mets are regressing back to where they should be, I believe.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between the Mets and the Giants. The Mets, I believe, decided, you know what, we're gonna keep these pitchers, and I think they'll go out and try and get a bat over the winter. And they've got some good young talent, so I think the Stroman trade was for next year. The Giants decided to go all in, basically. They did trade for Scooter Gennett, and if he gets healthy down the stretch, he could be an asset. Mm-hmm. But tonight, I don't like the Giants in this spot. They had to play yesterday in Philadelphia and travel in. The Rockies had the day off, which was a break for them. Lambert actually is look, I know they've lost his last 7 starts, so it's not like you can be real excited about Lambert, but he has thrown the ball pretty well in his last 3 starts. I think it's 2 walks and 15 strikeouts. And that command is important in Colorado because the one thing you don't want to do is walk guys in this ballpark. That can set you up for a big inning with a fly ball that gets caught in that wind tunnel out there, or the altitude, and just leaves the park. And Anderson has been just consistently mediocre for the Giants. So I think the spot does favor the Rockies a little bit. And I think the line does too, to be honest with you, because you've got this Giants team that's been piling up profits for all their backers for over a month now, whereas the Rockies have been horrendous. And they're now 9 games under 500, and their season's over. And yet you're looking at a price in the 135 range. It's going to look really tempting for the public to be on the dog here. And I don't mind going against public dogs. So I would look at the Rockies here.
Yeah, I mean, interesting talking about public dogs because next game up, we got 9:40 Eastern start, 9:59, 9:60, Washington Nationals. This number is kind of surprising to me, Dave. We'll come back to you, but I mean, it just, seeing the D-backs laying as high as minus 155 right now, 9.5, Ray versus Ross. I would think the Nationals would be a public dog here. What are you thinking?
I don't think they will be because Joe Ross sucks. Okay, he's terrible. He's absolutely awful. And I don't know why the Nationals are starting him. I mean, to me, the move here would be just make it a bullpen day if you don't have a starter for this spot. Joe Ross is a train wreck. And Robbie Ray has been really good lately for the Rockies. What did I have here on him? Look at this. Robbie Ray is the guy who is noted for his control issues. That's been the holdup for Ray in separating him from being an okay pitcher to someone who could be a star. He's on a run of 4 walks and 36 strikeouts in I don't know how many starts that covers, but it's obviously a few starts. Yeah. 4 walks and 30. That's spectacular by Ray standards. And if he's not walking people, he is really tough. So, as the Nationals are playing really good ball right now, and I'm not really going to lay $150 against them, but I would not be excited about the Nationals here.
What are you thinking here, Brian?
Yeah, I agree. Robbie Ray's one of those guys. You have to wonder. There's a lot of trade talk about Robbie Ray, and he didn't get traded. I'm kind of glad because it's more of a pitcher's park in Arizona and gets to face the teams and that division. So for Robbie Ray, fantasy guy, I'm happy he didn't get traded. But you have to wonder if he's going to get traded, he's going to get traded to a team, unless it's the Mets, a team that's in the playoff contention. So he may be a little bit discouraged because of that. But, the line's too high to play Arizona here, but I'm with Dave. Joe Ross is a guy who you go back his last 5 starts, none of them were up to league average of 50 for a game score. He continues to get shots. I mean, every couple of years, they keep giving him the ball, and he goes out there and he's proven that he's not very good. So they've got to have better guys than that. In the bullpen is probably a good idea, especially because yesterday both teams had the day off. So the bullpen is fresh for Washington. So if Ross gets into early problems here, it wouldn't surprise me if they go to the bullpen here. Maybe if we can get a strikeout prop on Joe Ross and play that under, makes a lot of sense to me. But that's probably the only way I would look in this one.
Good.
That line just moved again, by the way. Penny moved it to 158, 5 dimes to 155. So look for the Vegas shops to follow suit very, very shortly.
Yeah, interesting. Up to minus 160. Almost a 15-cent move in this one as well. Guys, we got Dave Cokin on, Bryan Leonard from Wager Talk. I am Drew Martin from Sports Memo. We got a Friday night action ticket up at sportsmemo.com, along with a lot of other 3%, 4%, and 5% plays up for tonight's action. Dave Cokin has his 5% week 1 ticket up at Wager Talk. Check that out. And NFLX action as well. What's that, Dave?
The 5% is a college play, and that line, as I expected, is moving. So, you need to get on that quickly. And the 4% is a week 1 NFL exhibition best bet.
Nice. All right. And we do have a coupon code for this show, PITCH, just the word pitch, at checkout at both Sports Memo and Wager Talk. We'll take 50% off any daily play. That includes day's play right there. Friday night action ticket I got up at sportsmemo.com qualifies as well. That coupon code is PITCH for half off. Brian, what do you got going on at Wager Talk right now?
Actually, I have an afternoon baseball game up that'll probably be gone by the time this airs. I've been working on a lot of college football, NFL football. We gave out an opinion on Twitter yesterday on the under. Once it hit 35, that was a nice winner for us. So I'm getting ready to load up some football and getting really excited for this upcoming football season.
Absolutely. College football right around the corner. We had the first NFL game just last night. So, guys, remember the coupon code PITCH at checkout at both Sports Memo and Wager Talk today for 50% off any daily play posted at either website. Guys, should we hit we got San Diego, LA Dodgers here. Lauer versus May, battle for Southern California here. Total of 9, minus 160, the Dodgers at home. Dave, you interested in laying this number with the Dodgers?
No, but I got to tell you, 160 is kind of low. The Padres haven't seen Dustin May, and he's a guy to keep an eye on. Dustin May is a really good prospect for the Dodgers. I think Gavin Lux is probably the best prospect in the organization, but May I think he's probably moved up to the second best prospect in the organization. And I think Dustin May, I think they brought him up because they wanted to get his feet wet, and also the Dodgers didn't address their bullpen at the trade deadline. And my thoughts are that Dustin May is going to end up in the bullpen in the playoffs. And that's why they want to get him some innings now. get him a little experience, and also, of course, have him up early enough so he'll be eligible for the postseason. I think that's the strategy with May. And I think it's a good strategy because their bullpen is shaky, and Dustin May could be a real plus to them. We've seen it before with rookies who get put into a playoff situation. Matt Moore comes to mind years ago with Tampa, David Price when he first came up. And these guys can want to go way back. Adam Wainwright with the Cardinals first got going in the bullpen when the Cardinals were in the postseason. I think that's the game plan with Dustin May. First start, usually advantage pitcher. Eric Lauer is certainly nothing to be afraid of. I'm surprised this line has come down, to be honest with you. The Padres are not playing good baseball at all. And last night was a good example. They had all kinds of chances to blow up Clayton Kershaw, who was not sharp last night. Kershaw walked 5, gave up some hits, and the Padres could not get a hit that mattered. And then, of course, the Dodgers got Will Smith up there with the bases loaded after they left Joey Lucchesi in too long. I don't know why managers don't look. It's like they ignore stats. Joey Lucchesi, first 2 times through the order is really good. Once he gets 3rd time through the order, he's just not very good. And last night, they had a perfect opportunity to pinch hit for him in the top of the 6th. Instead, he went up there, made the 3rd out, goes out in the bottom of the 6th, loads the bases, and then the relief pitcher comes in and serves up a grand slam, and the ball game's over. It's good for me because I had the Dodgers -1. But anyway, Eric Lauer's, he's a relief pitcher. He shouldn't be a starter. The Dodgers could carve him up tonight. I think the Dodgers are the right side here. And to be honest with you, I'm starting to get tempted to play it at the price.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I think this line's a little short on the Dodgers as well. Brian, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'll join in also. From a mental standpoint, the Padres came into the season, made the big moves, obviously, bringing in some high-priced talent. And then the management decides, okay, well, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're going to trade away some of their decent minor leaguers. Framil Reyes, a guy who's going to hit 40 home runs in the American League as a DH. They bring in a minor leaguer in Trammell, very good player, but I don't expect them to bring him up this year, at least not until August. So basically, the management's letting the players know that, okay, well, now we're not going to try to win this year. We'll worry about that in the future. If you're a Padres fan or a Padres player and you made all those moves in the offseason, I'd be a little bit disappointed right now that the team didn't have enough faith in you. And obviously, when you play in a division with the Dodgers, you're not going to win the division, but you're always in it for the wild card. And the last 3 years, the Dodgers are 33-11, 33-15 against the Padres. So they've won 2 out of 3. You take a look at the Dodgers at home this year, 41-14. Better than 2 out of 3, basically 3 out of 4. Dave talked about Lauer. Lauer had a couple good starts there, and then the last 2 starts, 27-36 on the road against the Mets and the Cubs. Don't trust Lauer here. I'm with you. I was surprised that the line is in this area. There's a lot of talk about May. I mean, he's one of those guys that they've been wanting to bring up. The Dodgers are probably the most loaded minor league and major league pitching staff. They got guys continuing to get hurt and continue to bring other guys up. And Dave's probably right about May going to the bullpen because they've got a couple starters right now in the minors. They're just waiting for him to get healthy to get back in that lineup. Dodgers are an awesome team. I saw a stat today or a nod that the National League was plus 140 to win the World Series. Now, obviously, if the Dodgers get there, I don't think they're going to be a plus 140 because they'll probably end up with the best record. So they'll have home field advantage. But the problem is there's not a lot of competition with the Dodgers for the National League. So if you think the Dodgers are gonna get to the World Series, that plus 140 is not a bad bet if you're looking for a future bet. But I think I'm going to end up on the Dodgers here.
That's an interesting bet in itself, just betting National League versus American League. And I think that it can be kind of, expanded by the fact that on the American League side, if Houston doesn't make it to the World Series for whatever reason, in a 5-game series or a 7-game series, they get knocked out, I think that would affect that price as well. Did you jump on that plus 140, Brian?
I haven't yet. I just happened to read it this morning before I was preparing for this show. Obviously, Houston right now is loaded, and you would expect Houston to be there. But if Houston doesn't make it, getting the National League at plus 140, I don't care if they play the Yankees or Tampa Bay, Boston, whatever.
Right.
I don't think there's a team in the American League that is worthy of being a favorite over the Dodgers.
Dave, what do you think about that bet? National League plus 140. I mean, do you betting on either Houston not making it or like Brian was saying, the LA Dodgers being in it, do you think there's value?
I haven't really looked at it. So, I mean, I don't want to just jump at it and say yes or no. I'd have to study it.
Makes sense. Well, guys, we got the American League card up next, seeing 963, 964, Toronto, Baltimore. I'm seeing Toronto undecided, not seeing a lineup. Are either one of you guys getting a line on this game?
No.
All right, let's go on to 965, 966. We got the Red Sox and Yankees. Rodriguez versus Paxton in Yankee Stadium. Minus 130-ish for the Yanks. Total at 10. Brian, you interested in getting involved in this big rivalry game?
Anytime the Red Sox and Yankees play, I'm always interested in the underdog and always interested in the over. These two teams are so well matched over decades that you can make some money just by playing the underdog in this series. James Paxton is one of those guys that has the great stuff. I was doing I think you did the same live betting show the other day, I believe, and we got to talking about James Paxton. There's certain people, when you go to a major city like New York, where, Gray was the one coming from last year. He goes to Cincinnati this year. He's back to himself. He just couldn't take it in New York. I wonder if Paxton's like that. I mean, there's certain guys that just can't take the big pressure of playing in Boston or New York or something like that. One of those big cities is going to report on where you had dinner that night, as opposed to playing in Milwaukee or Cleveland, where they're just happy you're out there playing ball, Paxton just has not played well for the Yankees, and I can't trust him at this point. I'm looking for Rodriguez. Rodriguez is one of those guys that the team scores when he's on the field. He's got a 4.13 ERA. He's a decent pitcher. He's a pretty good pitcher, but for the records that the team has in his games, at 13-4 this year, 13-5 last year, I'm interested in the Red Sox and the over here. I don't know if I'll go both, but I'll be on one of them.
The Red Sox are 36-9 in his last 45 starts. There's no rational explanation for it because he's all right, but he's not that good. But they get a bunch of runs every time he pitches, and he'll do enough to keep them in ball games as a rule. I think you're right about Paxton. I don't know whether it's mental or physical because he hasn't been healthy.
Right.
But he just, now the Yankees are taking money today. And I don't disagree with that. I think the opener was too cheap here. Red Sox are playing. Boy, I mean, they just played some horrible baseball in these 3 games against Tampa. Mental mistakes all over the place. Obviously, didn't pitch well at all. I can't back the Red Sox here, and I think the Yankees will have a degree of revenge after losing 3 out of 4 at Fenway last weekend. But I'm not going to lay 130 to a guy whose team's record when he pitches is 36-9. So I guess I'll be a spectator and I'll root for the Red Sox because obviously I'm a Red Sox fan.
With the eye patch and all. I like it, Dave. We got the Angels and the Indians up next. Peters versus Clevenger. Clevenger back on the hill for the Indians. Up over minus 200 now, seeing about minus 220, the consensus price on the Indians at home. Total of 9 here, Dave. What are you thinking with Angels and Indians?
I guess the Angels will probably go Peters/Pena in this game. I believe that's what they're going to do. Clevenger's the guy's a monster. I mean, his numbers they're insane. What have I got here? He's got 72 strikeouts in 49 innings.
Damn.
Game scores way up there. He's just got great stuff. And the Angels are I know they're 2 games over 500, saying, well, okay, they're not out of it. But they just killed themselves with these 2 series against the Orioles and Tigers. And I think regrouping is going to be tough. It's a gigantic price, so I'm not going to get involved with it. But I don't want to go against Cleveland and Clevenger, that's for sure.
Brian, what are you thinking here?
I watched that game yesterday, Indians fan. I watched all the way through. Cole ended up, I think he had 4 strikeouts. His over-under was 8.5 for strikeouts. But you watch that game, he had so many players in an 0-2 count, a 1-2 count, he couldn't put them away. He just did not have his stuff yesterday, and Cleveland still couldn't hit him. Cleveland scored 1 run 2 games ago against Houston. They were shut out. They did get that game where late in the game they scored a lot and won that game 10-4. But I went over the Cleveland schedule, and everybody was talking about when is Cleveland going to pass Minnesota. Well, I don't think they are going to pass Minnesota, and one of the reasons is they've dominated their own division. They played Kansas City, Toronto, Kansas City, and Detroit, 14 games. They go 11-3. They play Minnesota, 1-2 against Minnesota. Then they play Cincinnati, Kansas City, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Detroit, all losing teams, 11-3. So they were 22-6 against weak opponents. And right now, since they lost 2 out of 3 to Houston, they're 2-4 against decent opponents. Are the Angels a decent opponent? I think they're a decent offensive team. I like the way they hit the ball. I agree with Dave. Clevenger's a guy I don't want to go against. But how do you lay this type of number for a Cleveland team when they play a decent team? I've seen it all season long. They're not a good team. I hope they don't make the playoffs. I'm glad they didn't make any major trades as an Indians fan. Bauer, I like the trade. I thought they actually are a better team now than when they had Bauer, even though I liked Bauer. But I can't lay this number with the Indians based on just the way they played when they face any type of competition at all.
Yeah, good point. Outside of the division, not a lot of success. We got Detroit, Texas up next. Alexander, lefty, looks like starting the game for Detroit. Total of 10. We got Lance Lynn on the hill for the Rangers. Guys, there was an article in Fangraphs not too long ago, pretty much pointing towards him being a bet on is what I got out of it. However, I wasn't expecting a minus 260 here on the Rangers at home. They are against the Detroit Tigers, arguably the worst team in baseball.
No, not arguably. There is no question about it.
He's wearing a Marlins hat. Can you see that?
Well, the Marlins are much better than the Tigers. Everybody is.
I think so too. I wanted to say arguably because of what Brian's saying. I didn't want to put too much emphasis on me being a fan of the Marlins.
They're not going to win 50 games. And actually, this price is not that far out of line. I think when the Tigers match up with some really good teams, you're going to see $4 lines. You can see 440s. They are a minor league baseball team. They are. No, they are. They're a minor league team. They're 32-72, and they've traded away a couple of their best guys. Castellanos is gone. Shane Green's gone. Matt Boyd didn't get traded. But they're not going to win 50 games. They got 58 games left to play. They'd have to go 18-40 to make it to 50 wins. I don't think they can do it. So they're going to end up like 46, 47 wins. They're unbelievably bad. And now they don't have anybody to finish games. So even if they're ahead close late, they're probably going to blow the lead. Was Jimenez going to be the closer now?
I believe he is.
Oh, boy. The Tigers are a cross-off for me. I will not play them in any way, shape, or form the rest of the season. I probably won't be laying a lot of prices against them either because the odds makers are going to make you pay a severe premium. But they're literally a quad A team at this point. They've got a bunch of guys who really aren't major leaguers on the major league roster.
Brian, what are you thinking, man?
Quick side note. We were down at the Westgate for the NCAA tournament, and Kelly and I were down there. A lot of the guys. I don't know if Dave made it. I think Dave was supposed to make it, didn't make it, whatever. But anyway, we had 2 booths, and one of the guys, Johnny Detroit, was down there with some of his friends from Detroit. And if you remember back then, Dave, Detroit got off to a nice start. They were like 13-5 or something. And this guy says, "So what do you think of the Tigers?" I said, if they have a good season, they may win 60 games. And he looked at me as if I questioned his life because he was a Tigers fan. And then he got off to that great start. And he goes, "You're kidding me." And I said, "No, they're terrible. Look at the players they've got." And once the trade deadline comes, they're going to trade all those players away. I overstated by them winning 60 games, I'll tell you, because they're not very good at all, as Dave pointed out. And they're so bad that the Rangers are 12-18 over the last month. And they're sitting here as this huge favorite. And in fact, if you were to go to William Hill and play a favorite, which I would recommend nobody ever do, because they rank up these favorites like crazy, they're minus 280 at William Hill. I can't lay 280, but as the gravy train of betting against Detroit is probably gone now.
Interesting, guys. And today's point about them being a quad A team or like a minor league team, whatever the best minor league team is out there, how many wins would they have, in your opinion, for a full MLB season?
I don't know. I can't really. I don't like guessing at stuff.
I know it. I talked about this on a video at Wager Talk earlier this year. If you were to use a quad A guy at every position,
right,
you'd end up with 54 wins. So they're so bad that they're using quad or triple A players, double A, triple A. Because you could just roll out. Your team has 0 WAR, it'll be 54, and so that tells you how much luck is involved in baseball. You can win 1/3 of your games being less than everybody else in every position, but that's what happens in baseball. That's why baseball, you have live dogs. You got different teams in it every year. It's not like basketball where when the season starts, these are the 3 teams that can win. Right. Baseball and hockey are totally different.
Right. They are below average at every single position. They have one above average guy on the team, and that's Matt Boyd. He's the only, literally, on the entire 25-man roster, because Miguel Cabrera is clearly not very. No. He would be maybe borderline average right now with his bat. He has no power, but he can still hit for average. But he's their best player, and he can't play the field at all because he can't move. Matt Boyd is the only above-average player on their entire 25-man roster. I dare you to find another one.
How about Baltimore? Do they have 2?
Yeah, I think Baltimore's got a few, actually. They've got, Mancini's certainly
Mancini's number 1 for sure.
I think he hasn't gotten much attention, but the Santander kid in the outfield, he's got some potential. I'm not saying they're good, but they've got a few guys who are, look, Jonathan VR is an average major league guy. He's not.
There's a lot of teams who would take him as starter.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I don't think there's any comparison.
Yeah, Miami's pitching staff, you've got a lot of guys in the pitching staff, although they traded away Gallen for some strange reason. I have no idea why they did that.
It was a boom or bust trade. I don't like it because I think you need to build with a core, and I think Gallen is probably a solid number 3 guy. They took a shot with Jazz Chisholm, and he's really boom or bust. I mean, if he develops, he could be a big star. He might not develop, though. He might be a guy who he's a guy with a very low floor and a very high ceiling. And the problem with that is if he doesn't get to the ceiling, he might not even be a major leaguer. So it's a big gamble on Miami's part, and I don't think franchises at that level should be taking big gambles like that.
Yeah, I mean, with the Marlins, as far as replacement level players, I think they're starting pitchers. You can make an argument for a couple of them. Also, Cooper, I know he's banged up right now, and Anderson in the lineup.
Harold Ramirez is a nice young player. Like the way he goes the opposite way. I'm not saying he's going to be a star, but I think he could be a 275, 280 hitter with flashes of power. No, they got a few guys who aren't awful. Alfaro's not the worst catcher in the world. Okay, I mean, he's not going to do a lot offensively, but if he hits 250, 260, the way he handles pitchers, he's a plus guy. But they don't have many of those guys, and I don't think the organization knows what it's doing. That's the problem.
They do have a nice ballpark, I'll tell you guys. It's a nice one to watch a baseball game. I'm surprised not more people go, but the product on the field hasn't been that good in South Florida.
Well, they shouldn't charge major league prices for what right now is not a major league product.
Good point.
The best part of that ballpark is the food, because you get a lot of different food from the Cuban area that you don't get in other ballparks. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And they got that monstrosity out of the outfield, that whatever that supposed piece of artwork was.
And they got a pool out there, Dave, with like a club. It's pretty cool. If you want to go into a pool.
Dave and I are at the clubs all the time.
Yeah, right. Is that the Clevelander?
Yeah, it is the Clevelander.
Yeah.
If you get in that pool, you might get hepatitis, but it's pretty. Looks like fun atmosphere.
Listen, that the highlight of the Tampa ballpark is their pool with those fish swimming around in it.
Yeah, stingrays.
Yeah.
All right, guys,
they'll come right up to you. Apparently, that's pretty cool.
That's the best part of the Tampa Bay ballpark, because that's the worst ballpark in baseball.
Oh
yeah, it is.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, we got 3 games left. We got
It's actually not, because at least they don't have a sewage issue like they have in the Oakland.
Yeah. I don't know, Dave. I mean, at least Oakland has kind of like an open atmosphere where you can feel like you're at a sporting event. Like, they're at Tropicana, man. I went there, and it was just...
No, it's terrible.
The atmosphere was terrible.
No, it is. It's awful. But I don't know. I think if you gave me tickets, said, here's your choice, go to Tampa or Oakland, here's the best seats in the house. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'll go up to the Las Vegas ballpark and watch the Aviators. It's a lot nicer when they got mesh seats.
Man, that's saying some. Choosing the minor league team. Nice.
Oh, it's nice. And the mesh seats are really nice.
Makes sense. I got to check that out next time I'm out there.
The mesh seats keep you a lot cooler in this heat.
All right, guys.
All right. Next blowout, Kikuchi and Wiley.
Really, man. Kikuchi in division. 2 lefties going at it. Total of 10, minus 275 here. Touching on 300. Dave, what are you thinking?
I think that's a good price. What else you want to say? I mean, want me to analyze the Mariners? They suck, okay? And Houston is the only way. To me, the only way the Astros aren't getting to the World Series is if they go on strike.
Brian, what are you thinking, man?
When Dave says it's a complete blowout with Kikuchi and Miley, I don't know what's worse. Kikuchi hasn't done anything, but I'm not a huge Wade Miley fan. That's the only chance you got. If you're playing Seattle, you do get to face Wade Miley. Although the last couple of years he's been a much better pitcher than he's been before that. But yeah, Houston's one of those teams that I don't want to get in front of. Both these pitchers are lefties. On the season, Seattle's 12-22 against lefties. Houston's 23-7. Amazing, 23-7. 38-15 at home. I won't be betting against Houston here, but the line is prohibitive.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of run line type of stuff, but if I had to play, I'd kind of look maybe toward the run line, or maybe probably the better bet in here would be Houston team total over, because Kikuchi just can't get anybody out, and he's had 2 quality starts out of his last 7. Don't want any part of him. Maybe you play Houston runs over.
Yeah, the problem on the Astros, and I think that this is just going to be the way it goes for the rest of the year. If you bet every Astros game for the rest of the season, you might lose money, because they're going to be such big favorites,
right,
that when they lose, it's going to just blow up your bankroll. They could play 750 ball and conceivably be like a break-even team. So you're going to have to find other ways to win in baseball other than the obvious Astros. I guess what you do, if you want to play the Astros, you're going to have to find like 3-team big chalk parlays and hope they all hit on the same night. And that's not really the way to get rich.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people talk about putting them in parlay, you're still playing that big number regardless of how you play it. But if you remember, Dave, last year, Houston had such a big lead in the division, they kind of coasted. And I thought that's what you were going to talk about, was betting Houston the rest of the way, because they do have another big lead, and they could coast. It didn't seem to harm them last year. I mean, obviously they didn't win it all, but it wouldn't surprise me if they take a few games off and bring up some of these minor leaguers, give them a chance, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm ready to move on to the other game, because I don't think there's a ton of value in this one.
Hey, Brian, real quick on just a topic that Dave talked about, betting Houston every game, having to pay that premium. Do you think you would win more money, or what would be the better bet if you bet every game? The Houston Astros every game, or the Detroit Tigers every game from here till the end of the season?
If I had your money, I wouldn't care to bet either one of them, to be honest with you, because I don't see profit coming
All right, guys, we got, 2 games left here. Kansas City, Minnesota, Sparkman versus Perez. Perez and the Twins commanding about $2 price tag at home, total of 11. Dave, anything quickly on the Royals and Twins?
Sparkman's game score average on the road is 31. I don't know that there's much more that needs to be said. He's terrible. It's a big line on Martin Perez.
Brian, what do you got?
But it's tough to lay those high price numbers.
All right, guys, 1 game left here, and remember the coupon code PITCH at checkout, both Wager Talk and Sports Memo, half off any daily play today, PITCH, for 50% off any daily play, Wager Talk or sportsmemo.com. Dave Cokin's got his 5%er up in college football. I got a Friday night action ticket tonight in MLB. Those are 2 plays you can choose. We got 975, 976, Chicago White Sox, Philadelphia Phillies, minus 180 here for the Phillies with Vargas. Nova on the hill for the White Sox, total of 10. Dave, what do you got?
That's a big number. Nova's
Brian, take us home.
looks like Vargas.
Guys, good stuff. For Bryan Leonard, Dave Cokin, I am Drew Martin. Remember the coupon code PITCH, P-I-T-C-H, at checkout, 50% off. Happy Friday out there. Best of luck with your bets. We're out.